Welcome back everyone. As you probably guessed from the title of the video as well as the thumbnail, this is the optic that we are talking about here today. This is the relatively new anyway, Vortex Venom. This one here is enclosed. That's the news, is that it's enclosed, and it also is a budget option that a lot of you I think will like, especially when we actually start talking about the price point, the features, all of those sorts of things. So Vortex used to make a Venom. I have a video on it. I did not like it. It genuinely was not a good optic in terms of durability or battery life. Other than that, I guess it's probably fine. But this new one here has a ton of different features, much better features that I do like. And one thing, again, that everyone out there is talking about, and the reason I'm actually getting this video up relatively quickly in terms of round count and all those sorts of things, the combination of the enclosed optic as well as the price point, as well as it being a Vortex product, which generally speaking, Vortex has a very good reputation for optics on a budget. So with that, let's go ahead and get into it. So first off, it does have the Delta Point footprint. It comes with basically all of the screws that you could ever need, which I love. All the different lengths, all the different thread patterns, all of those sorts of things. That is something that every company should do. And honestly, it's basically Vortex and O-Sight that do it right, in my opinion. So it does come with all the screws. It tells you which gun the screws fit and all of those sorts of things. So I do dig that. But Delta Point footprint, we have it mounted up here on the Glock 45, as you guys can see, MOS, with the Delta Point plate, because it takes a plate system on the Glock. But basically anything that will take a Delta Point footprint, which is the vast majority of either guns or plates out there that are available for those guns, will work with this optic. So a ton of options in terms of mounting. Now the reason, just real quick for those who don't know, the reason it takes Delta Point versus like say an RMR pattern is going to be the ability to mount that battery. So as you guys saw with the RCR, they had to do some funky stuff with the screws to get it to work with that pattern. However, with the Delta Point being a little bit further back, it allows for that, as well as the side mounted, or in some cases top mounted battery, and still have an enclosed housing. So the Delta Point footprint for a enclosed optic, in my opinion, is probably the better option without having to do all types of weird stuff to it. So that's why it takes Delta Point. But again, whatever gun you have, there is very likely a Delta Point plate for it. So over there on the right side, we do have our windage adjustment. Each click is 1 ohm away. They're relatively positive. They're not the most positive, just straight up, they're not. But you definitely know when you click it. So 1 ohm away is plenty for a pistol, in my opinion, and the same is true with the elevation adjustment there on top. Additionally, there are screws holes that we already talked about. Comes with all the screws, all those sorts of things. We did mount this one, I did anyway, with blue Loctite. And of course, we're going to drop it here in just a little bit. In terms of the video timeline, as you can probably guess, we've already done some testing on it here, but we will do more. As y'all know, there's no need to worry about that on the channel. More testing will happen. Over here on the right side, we do have the battery compartment for a CR2032 battery, and that is one thing I do like. That is the larger of the two types of batteries that these optics typically take. So that's going to give you more juice, which gives you better battery life. So talking about battery life here, talk about the brightness settings. It has 10 different brightness settings, 8 daylight bright and 2 night vision. And on setting 6, you guys can see this chart here that we roll in from the folks over at Vortex to let you guys know basically all of the different battery life that you are going to get. That is, of course, with their, as you would call it, shake awake type feature on there, which they don't call it that. Someone else calls it that. Whereas out of the box, once you install that battery, it will be in default for the auto on, or whatever they call it, feature. So it'll be on, and then 10 minutes with no movement, it will shut itself off automatically to conserve battery. However, if you're carrying it on your hip or something like that and you're moving around, it will remain on the whole time. So that is how Vortex's system works with that 10-minute window. However, you can override that if you want to through the buttons there on top. And you can have it so that it just always stays on or always stays off, whichever you want it to do. And it also has a button lockout mode. If you guys have watched some of my Vortex, one of their open emitter red dots that we talked about there with the XL, that was one thing I wish they had with that XL. It doesn't have a lockout mode that would stay locked out. This one does. So if you want to set it, just for example, to setting 7 and lock it at setting 7 so it never moves no matter what, unless you press and hold that button again to get out of lockout mode. You can do that with this optic. So I do like that. I know there are a lot of people who just want it like that and they don't want to mess with any of the auto live settings or whatever the case may be. That said, we've had this one in for a few months now. It has been on the auto live setting, and it has been on either setting 6 or setting 7 the entire time. The battery obviously is perfectly fine up until this point, so we've had no issues with that at all. Additionally, the buttons are pretty tactile. There's no issues with actuating them. You know when you clicked it, even if you're not actually looking at the adjustment of the dot itself. And they are shrouded a little bit. So what I mean by that is it has this raised portion there in the middle. I think you guys can probably see that. And then basically the body of the Optic shrouds it after that. I haven't accidentally bumped them that I have noticed at all to date in use. So that definitely is a good thing. The body on this Optic, which is interesting, an interesting choice for the folks over at Vortex, is a 6061 housing. So a lot of Optics, as many of you guys know, utilize a 7075 aluminum housing. So real quick, I've gone over this before, but I know we get a lot of new people here on the channel. 6061, I'm just giving a super broad overview. I'm sure the mechanical engineers down in the comments are freaking out. But 6061, generally speaking, will have better corrosion resistance. So if you're in a saltwater environment or in a super humid environment, like where I am right now, then 6061 will do a better job at corrosion resistance than 7075 will. Additionally, 6061 is a softer material than 7075. So one thing that's good for is for impacts, it will tend to bend or deform or smush instead of cracking as a harder type of material would do. Again, the 7075 is definitely harder and it is more resistant, I guess you could say, to impacts, but sometimes having that softer material is beneficial. We certainly will find out here in just a second. As you guys can hear, we just had a giant falcon take off about 15 feet to my left. Not sure if the microphone took it up, but it did distract me. So with that, those are the basic overview of the Optic itself. Let's head out to the range, do some drop tests, see how it holds up, and then come back and finish the video out. All right, everyone, it's the time that you have been waiting for, drop test time. So we have a target downrange at 40 yards, and I'm just going to confirm 0. Then we're going to start the drop test, so we shall see. All right. So the gun is zeroed. This is a Glock 45 Gen 5, which I believe is a collector's item these days. And right now there are 13 rounds in the magazine. So I am 5'11 3/4 for those who are new here. And we're going to see how it does. I tell you, this target is freshly painted, and that definitely lets you know where it hit. Hopefully you guys can see that orange there. But yeah, the glass is fine. So let's try it again. Another drop. Ooh. That was a direct hit. That one hit the full force right there. Glass is still fine. We're messing up my front sight a little bit. It's what we do for science around here, kids. Another gnarly hit on that plate. So 3 is about what we normally do here on the channel. You guys can see all that orange paint on there, but the glass itself is just fine. Let's see if it still is zeroed. It's zeroed. Hard to beat that at this price point, folks. So as y'all just saw, this thing is a champ in terms of the drop test. Had absolutely no issues at all, which honestly I kind of expected. The enclosed optics, we haven't had many of them have issues with the drop test yet to date. I should also note that this thing, the excess sights on here, this particular gun itself, as you guys know who watch the channel, has been the host for about 6 optics at this point. I've dropped it, I don't even know how many times, at least 18. And the fact that the sights are still intact is honestly impressive. I can assure you the plastic Glock sights would not be, so good on XS for that. But yeah, we took all those hits, had that orange paint on there from that shoesteel.com target. No issues at all. The glass looks perfect. Speaking about the glass, honestly, it's kind of insane considering the price point of this optic. Let's talk about the price point too while we're at it. So this thing right now, the map or the minimum advertised price is $199. And if you guys are following anywhere that has links down below, whether it be on YouTube, Rumble, X, wherever you're following, Facebook, wherever I post this, there will be a link down below to pick one up at the cheapest price I know of at the time of posting this video. So for $199 map, again, they come in for less if you guys are catching the sales. To have glass that's this clear is kind of crazy. It does have a slight blue tint, particularly if you hold it up to like a white sheet of paper, you will notice it. But honestly, it's not bad. Not bad at all. There are, like for example, if you take this compared to like a Type 2 LED RMR, the RMR is going to have more tint for sure than this. I have looked at both of them back to back. This has less tint. And the tint, for those of you guys don't know, that's there. It basically means that the LED emitter has to work less hard the more tint there is to have the same amount of battery life. Now, there's always a give and take on that with optics manufacturers. So to have something that's a budget price like this is with the battery life that this has, with not a whole lot of tint that you guys are probably seeing from images that we are rolling in, quite impressive. Additionally, to me, to my eyes, which I don't have an astigmatism, at least not a bad one. They say everyone has this astigmatism, but I don't have a bad one. And that dot is pretty darn crisp. They sent me this. I should mention that if I haven't already. They sent the 3 MOA. Personally, I would prefer a 6 MOA, but everyone has their own preferences to dot size. I'm fine with 3 MOA or other. I have no issues with that. So let's get into some cons before we close the video out. Number one, the con that first jumped out at me when I first got this in is the deck height, or how high above the mounting surface the actual optic itself sits. Before we get into that, I suppose we should show you the difference, because I know you guys are going to ask. So here is their new enclosed Vortex CCW Defender. You guys can kind of get a look there how those stack up side by side. This obviously has the RMSC pattern footprint, has multi-reticle, has the solar, all the other things, has the fast rack system up front for racking it on hard surfaces. This had no issues with racking it. I don't even know if I recorded that footage. I may have. If I have, you guys are seeing it. If not, don't worry about it. It was totally fine because it has that little ledge right there that you guys can't see, and that sticks on stuff just fine. However, this one's a little stickier for sure. But basically, this version of this optics, the ST series, is this guy right here. Again, it's more feature rich. It has the battery, the buttons in different locations, has some other features that this doesn't have, but that is how they stack up in terms of size. And one of the advantages of the Defender ST for sure is the deck height, if you guys can't see that, is lower. So even with the ST mounted up on the actual slide itself rather than on the actual mounting surface where the MOS plate is, the ST is still lower than the Defender here, or the Venom rather, I should say. So it does have a high deck height. So does that matter? It depends. If you want to co-witness optics, it does matter because some of your, lower 1/3, whatever they may claim, optics out there, or sites, will not co-witness with this optic. So just know that. However, like these XS sites here, if they're high enough, they will co-witness just fine. Like these XS are probably lower 1/4, lower 1/5-ish, looking at it right now. So you can get a co-witness option if you want that. That said, I know a lot of you guys don't care about co-witness. The other con that I'm going to say about this optic is one, again, that probably most people won't run into, but I have run into because, I test things for a living. So like I said, it has 8 daylight settings. It has 2 night vision settings. So with Gen 3 night vision, so if you have Gen 3 tubes, whatever kind you may have, both of those night vision settings are too bright in my opinion. They just are. Like you're washing out your night vision all around it. I mean, you can definitely use it if you want to, right? But it is way brighter than you would want it. Ideally, you can tone down your night vision, but that's not really what you want to do in that situation. You want to tone down the intensity of your dot. So it is a little bit bright. So if Vortex is watching this, which they probably are, I would definitely recommend either making the 1 setting just not as intense, or just adding more settings that allow you to do that as well. That said, I actually tried this out with my Psionics camera as well, which is a digital night vision camera, and the night vision was fine with the digital night vision. So if you have digital night vision, it's probably not an issue at all. But if you have, like your PVS 14s or something like that, in my case with the Gen 3s, it was a little bit too bright even on the 1 setting. So those are the cons of it. Honestly, this thing's fantastic. I should also mention, because I didn't mention it yet, Vortex has a lifetime warranty, and it's definitely one of the best warranties in the industry. I don't know anyone who says otherwise. So to have something that comes in at this price point, that's as durable as this is, that has the clarity that this has, that has this both 6 and 3 MOA dots that a lot of people like, both of those, I mean, this thing's a winner, guys. If you don't want the added features that your Defender ST line has, which we'll have a full review on this coming up, if you don't want the added features of that for the added price point, man, this thing's pretty darn good. Honestly, there's not a lot that competes with it at this price point from known brands at this point right now. Again, I'm filming this in the beginning of December 2025, and honestly, it's kind of in a class of its own in terms of durability. I haven't heard of any durability issues with these, and as of right now, they've been out for like 2 or 3 months. So, I mean, it's good. Like something like this didn't exist 3 or 4 years ago. Nothing like that was even close to it at a $200 street price. Nothing. So definitely gets my seal of recommendation if you guys want something that has the options that this has at the price point of this Optic. So that is it. If you guys like this video and you're not subscribed, make sure you hit the subscribe button. It's free. About half the people that watch these videos aren't subscribed, so you can just go ahead and do it, and then you don't have to worry about that anymore. And if you have done that and you're not seeing 2 to 4 videos a week here on the channel, then you are being censored by an algorithm from my content because I put it up every week. And the easy way around that is twofold. Number one, you can sign up for the email at the website here on your screen. Signing up will get you put on 2 email lists, one that goes out once a month and it has all the videos since the previous month's email went out. So that way there's no big tech giant censoring your eyes from my content. And again, it's free. There's also a good meme in there that a lot of people like. And it'll also get you put on the daily deals email. And that goes out every day, as the name indicates. Recently, as of when I'm filming this anyway, this thing has been about 20% off. And so if you guys follow me on social media, or if you guys are signed up for my email, you have already seen that. So from the price point that we talked about earlier. But daily deals goes out every day, as the name indicates. It typically has 8 to 10 of the best deals that we find around the internet. If the item, whatever the item is in the email on a given day, it's the cheapest I know of for that item. So that way it saves you guys some time and saves you some money because I've already done the price comparisons for you. And again, there's a good meme in there that a lot of you will like as well. Lastly, before I close it out, we do have an SMS service. You can sign up for that by texting here to the code here on your screen, to the number here on your screen. And you can also, if you don't want to do that for whatever reason, I don't know why you wouldn't, but if you don't, you can head over to mrgunsandgear.com/SMS, and that will get you guys signed up for SMS as well. It goes out at most once a day, and it typically has a smoking deal that is very likely to sell out, or it has a new video that just dropped. That is a loud muffler. Or it has a new video that just dropped, once again, getting around the algorithm and letting you guys see my content. So with that, that's all I got for you. Thank you all for watching. I truly appreciate it. I look forward to seeing everybody in the next video.